So that is the update on our preparedness for Saturday. I do know that a couple of people must have some questions or clarifications they wish to make or they want to hear about. So amongst the media, the observers, anybody who has questions to ask, let me start from the observers. Does any domestic or international observer have any questions? Kindly indicate. Any questions from any of our partners or the observers? None? Okay, great. So the media, okay, sorry, please. Where's the second mic? I give it to you. Election monitor. Just 1 second. Let it move. Can I see? We have one observer, domestic observer, who wishes to ask a question or make a comment. Can I see any other so that we'll just take all the observers at the same time? Any other? Okay. Let's hear that of the observer first, then we'll get to the media. Thank you. Okay, election monitor. Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Once again, we thank you for these press briefings, and clearly a lot of progress is being made, which is commendable. Okay. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, what is INEC's position on political parties which intend to create mirror results or mirror image of the election results and probably would want to release them, maybe after INEC has declared the official results? How does INEC view this? Secondly, last week during the briefing for accredited observers, I asked a question about, there was an issue about if there's a disruption in a polling unit, and we were told that if there's a disruption, the voting will continue the next day. So I now asked, what about those who have already accredited from the first day? Since the card reader would shut down by 10 p.m., which you also repeated today, would this not be a challenge the next day for those who accredited the previous day? So the response we received was that the card reader is an enhanced card reader that can store the data till the next day. I want to get clarification on this, because if it can store data till the next day, it's also another problem in itself. So I would like to confirm that. And lastly, sir, on the day of election, diplomats that are not accredited observers, that is, they are not part of an international election observer mission, are they allowed to move around on election day? Thank you.
Okay. Can I get the questions from the media then? Media. Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So let's 7 be enough for now, please. Number 1.
Yeah, my name is Vincent Ikomola, and I work with the Nation newspaper. My first question is, I just want to know the cost implication of the postponement of the election to INEC.
The cost implication of the postponement to
Yeah,
INEC.
the cost implication of the postponement to INEC. Then second, yesterday the chairman promised to give us the PVC collection.
Update on PVC collection.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Number 2. No, I think, no, Premium Times is number 2.
Good afternoon. My name is Lois Bede from Premium Times. We did a story on conflicting figures on how much INEC is supposed to pay ad hoc staff for their training allowance, because there have been complaints from different areas on how much the standard payment is supposed to be. So we'll note states that are underpaying or not paying at all. So I would like to know what's the standard amount for ad hoc staff. Thank you.
Okay, number 3. Number 3, gentleman in pink. You are number 3 now. Number 3. You are number 3.
Good afternoon, Sir Chairman. My name is Vin Oliji, Across for Voice of Nigeria. So there's this trending information on social media that coming Saturday, people should watch out with ballot papers that have date of 16th of this month. That they should not don't print there. So what is the true position of that?
Number 4.
Good afternoon, Chairman. My name is Amadine Uyi. I report for Plus TV Africa. I want to get an update on arrangements being made by INEC for persons living with disability to make the elections, the polls, more inclusive. Thank you.
Number 5.
Good day, sir. My name is Emeka Marco from TV 360. Sir, there is this information we got that the presidential candidate for National Rescue Movement, Usman Ibrahim Al-Haji, actually took the commission, INEC, to court for failure to disqualify the APC and PDP, having overshot their 1 billion naira campaign finance. What's your position on this, sir?
Number 6. No, hold number 6, please. We'll finish that. 7 people I recognized.
Yeah, good afternoon. I just want to know how much is going to cost INEC in this rescheduled election. Okay, and they said it has been answered. And again, the conditions of the youth corpers that we saw lying down on bare floor. I want to, because the chairman told us here a few days ago that there were makeshift camp for them, but then we saw a lot of them, ad hoc staff, lying down on the floor. Has something different been done for these ad hoc staffs? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7, please.
Thank you very much. My question to the chair.
Your name first.
Samson Itodo, Yaga
you.
Africa.
Thank you.
Chair, have you received any reports about some sensitive materials that are missing, be them result sheets or ballot papers? Because there are reports that for some elections in Enugu, for instance, like one of the senatorial districts, a result sheet is missing. It would be great to actually comment on that particular issue. Thank you.
Sorry, number 6, can you confirm your identity and your organization, please? We missed that.
Yeah, I remain Lizzie Chippy. I write for Other Paper.
Thank you. Perhaps the chairman wants to answer those 7 questions before we take other questions. Honorable Chairman, sir.
Okay, thank you very much all. First, Biodun Ajijola from Election Monitors. INEC's position on political parties that create mirror images of election results. Well, I must say that it's even unnecessary for a political party to create any mirror image of an election result. If the party is participating in any of the elections, it will surely have polling agents. And the polling agents will be given copies of the results, the duplicate copies of the results from the polling units. So when you are going to be given a duplicate copy of the results from the polling units, why do you need your own mirror image of that result? But in any case, for others who are interested in following the process, particularly the integrity of the collation process, we said that we are going to paste the form EC60E, which is like the mirror image of the EC8A, the results that are given to party agents or polling agents at the polling units. And this will be available, and it's official, is from the Commission. And in the past, and I said so severally, political parties, civil society organizations, the media, others, using smartphones, were able to take pictures of the results pasted at the polling units after the elections. And it gives them an idea, if they're able to compile the results from quite a number of polling units or even a constituency, of what the outcome of the election is in advance of official declaration. So when the Commission is going to give political parties copies of the results, the EC8 A's and B's and C's across until declaration, and when we have the EC60E's, we see no need for political parties to have what is called the mirror image of the result issued by the Commission. In any case, they are going to have copies of the real results, so I have a mirror image of that result. Then secondly, Ajijola, you talk about disruption at PU. Will voting continue? Now, if there is a disruption that requires the continuation of voting the following day, then obviously the card reader will quickly be reconfigured. And that shouldn't be difficult to do because you are talking specifically about a single smart card reader. But if you have a situation where voting is disrupted, election concluded, and the number of registered voters in that particular polling unit is unlikely to make a difference to the margin of lead in the election, then the law says that the Commission can go ahead and make a declaration. But where it is necessary to go back and we need to reconfigure the card readers, I assure you we are going to do so. If it is one polling unit, it's easier actually to do so than several polling units. But as a matter of policy of the Commission, which is embedded in the technology, smart card readers work between 8 in the morning and 10 p.m. They shut down automatically. So if there is need to extend voting to another day, then obviously the card readers will have to be reconfigured. Then finally you talked about unaccredited diplomats, diplomats going around on election day. I'm unsure that any unaccredited diplomat will go around on election day. The truth is that citizens' movement is restricted on election day to only the places where they need to go and vote, but citizens are free to hang around the polling units after voting to witness the processes of sorting out the ballot, counting, and also declaration of the result for that polling unit. And so I will advise those who would like to go around on election day to respect the restriction of movement between 6 in the morning and 6 p.m. And this applies to all citizens as well as guests of the Nigerian government by way of diplomats. Only those who are accredited can move around on election day to observe the electoral process. I hope that answered the question, Ajijola. Vincent, the nation, cost implication of the postponement. It is impossible to put a finger on a figure at this point. It is when the process is over that you can talk about the cost implication of the postponement. But just as we have admitted that there will be costs, not only to the Electoral Commission, but even to the media, people like you, observers and others, because not many people bargain for a longer period to observe the elections. But for these circumstances well beyond the control of the Commission, for which we have explained and taken full responsibility. So it's after the election that we'll know what the full cost implication is. I guess also it's going to be difficult if I ask you the same question. What will be the cost implication of the postponement on the deployment of reporters from your organization? Certainly this will not be known now until after the elections. But obviously there will be costs. Update on PVC collection, I promised so yesterday on the understanding that the Commission was going to meet today so that we can put it on our website. The Commission is meeting tomorrow, and I promise you that by the time we brief you at 3 p.m. tomorrow, the information will be available on our website. Premium times, conflicting figures of payment to ad hoc staff. Well, it depends on what you mean by the categories of ad hoc staff. the Commission believes that ad hoc staff are in categories. There are collation officers, supervisory presiding officers, we have returning officers, and we also have presiding officers. But I guess by ad hoc staff we are referring to the presiding officers, those who will play a role at the various polling units. And we have 4 minimum at polling units. Presiding officers, then the assistant presiding officers 1, 2, and 3. And this is the category of ad hoc staff that we train and deploy. And let me say, this is what their entitlements are. First, for the period of training of the ad hoc staff is a sum of 4,500 naira per head, which includes money for transportation and money for refreshment or feeding. They are trained for a period of 3 days. They transport themselves to the venue of training, and each one trained gets 1,000 naira per day times 3, that is 3,000, and then we have some small provision for feeding, is 500 naira per day times 3, which comes to 1,500. So put together, they will have 4,500 naira for training. Then for deployment on election, for election duty, they're entitled again to transport and feeding allowance and an honoraria of 9,000 naira. 9,000 naira honoraria, additional 3,000, making it 10, 12, no, additional 4,000, making it 13,000, plus the 14,700. Each one of them is entitled to 17,500 naira. That is the standard allowance. Let me repeat. 4,500 naira for training, then other allowances for deployment to the polling units, plus the 9,000 honoraria, making a total of 13,000 plus 4,500, making a total of 17,500. That is for the first election. For the second election, because no training is involved, there is no provision for the 4,500 naira meant for training. So they will get the 13,000. So if you put the two together, 17,500 plus 13,000, that is 30,500 naira. So that is the allowance that we are going to pay the ad hoc staff in the category of POs and APOs 1, 2, and 3 for the 2 elections, national and state. I hope I've answered the question, Premium Times. Voice of Nigeria, ballot papers stamped. This is a standard procedure. When you receive the ballot paper, the presiding officer at the polling unit will stamp the back of the ballot paper, sign and put a date. I haven't seen what he said was posted online, but just to reiterate that this is the standard procedure of the commission. It's going to be at the date the election is conducted. So each and every ballot paper will be stamped by the presiding officer at the polling unit. Plus TV Africa, arrangement for persons with disabilities. It's the same arrangement that we have consistently made. I've spoken about this over and over again, but let me also say that the arrangement depends on the type of disability. For instance, the albinos complained that they were unable to identify the logos of the parties of their choice on the ballot papers in the afternoon. So we contacted the Albino Foundation and requested them to advise the Commission on what we should do. The Albino Foundation advised the Commission to procure and deploy magnifying glasses. We procured and deployed magnifying glasses in the in the Anambra governorship election through to Ekiti and Oshun. And we are going to deploy magnifying glasses in the 2019 general elections. We have worked with the Albino Foundation. They have given us statistics on places where we have the concentration of the albinos so that we can deploy the magnifying glasses maximally. So this is one for the albinos. But for the visually impaired, the Inclusive Friends, which is the civil society organization that represents the interests not just of the visually impaired, but other categories of physically challenged persons as well, there was a suggestion that we should deploy a Braille guide in the election. It's a simple jacket that gives the acronyms of political parties in Braille, into which the normal regular ballot paper will be slipped into the jacket, and those who can read Braille can actually identify the logos of the parties of their choice, and there is a perforation by the side that they can now thumbprint into the box of that party unaided. But for those who cannot read Braille, the standard procedure will apply, that you come with a trusted person who will help you to make your choice. So that is what we have done for the visually impaired. Then the deaf also approached the commission to say that, yes, some of them can see, but they can't hear. But there are symbols and characters that can be read by them, similar to the Braille for the visually impaired, and asked what we can do to help, particularly in the area of voter education for them. We have done so. We designed and produced a special poster that can be read by the deaf. This we have deployed for the purpose of voter education and publicity during elections. But I know that those on wheelchairs have also requested that we should create ramps at the polling units to allow for easy access. Now this one is a lot more difficult for the commission to do, because voting is going to take place in 120,000, roughly 120,000 polling units and additional voting points. And none of these facilities is owned by INEC. They are basically public facilities, or there are no public facilities. They are called open space. We have no problem with the open space because there are no verandas and steps and elevations. So we'll, after the 2019 general elections, liaise with the owners of these facilities, essentially state governments, state and local governments, to see if they can construct, in particularly schools, ramps that can be used not just by INEC once every 4 years or as the need arises, but as a matter of course to take care of persons with disabilities generally. Then for other categories of the physically challenged, we have separate queues, provision for separate queues. This is only commonsensical. Any person with disability who comes to vote is given accorded preference. You don't have to queue to vote. It also applies to pregnant mothers, pregnant women, lactating mothers, and the elderly. That provision is also made. But we said pregnant. In the guidelines, we qualify the pregnancy. We said visibly pregnant. This is an important qualification for us, for those who are visibly pregnant. I hope that answered the question from Plus TV. Then I didn't quite get the name, but I jotted the question asked by someone that a candidate is suing the commission over the failure to prosecute some of the candidates who, in his own assessment, have already exceeded the spending limit prescribed by law. Well, I must say that we have not been served. If we are served, we will study the court papers and then see what we do thereafter. But it's very interesting that someone has already determined that some of the candidates have overspent. So we are waiting. If once we are served, the commission will look into the court papers and take a decision accordingly. NYSC is a condition of youth corpers. Sleeping rough and on the floor is very, very disturbing to the commission. Let me say that the youth corps members are among the most educated, most reliable, most patriotic, and most readily available election duty staff we have in Nigeria. They are graduates or HND holders. They are very easy to train for that reason. They are doing the youth service. They have addresses. If there are complaints, you can deal with infractions for that reason. And so we don't joke with the welfare of youth corps members. Interestingly, after the media briefing yesterday, the DG NYSC called me. And in addition to the arrangements we have made for the convenience of ad hoc staff at the super racks where they stay the night on Friday, before deploying to the polling units, meaning that where there is no water, we provide water, big tanks, we provide rubber buckets and plastics and toiletries, we provide power so that they can recharge the smart card readers, and also seize the opportunity to revise the manuals, the training manuals for the election. We need to take care of the comfort of the youth corps members. So arising from my interaction with the DG NYC yesterday, they are looking at how they can mobilize mattresses used by the youth corps members in camps during their period of stay in camps, so that we can move as many of these mattresses as possible to places where the youth corps members are going to stay the night, so that layover before we open the polling units on Saturday can be more comfortable for them. I'm waiting for the DG NYC to submit the details to the Commission. But I want to assure you that anything that the Commission can do to make the corps members comfortable and all other staff, including their welfare and security, will do so. We ensure a percentage of election duty staff. So in the event of perils or accident, there is a cushion that we can help. And also those who do exceptionally well during elections are accorded automatic employment by the Commission. We'll continue to improve on the welfare of corps members during elections and do whatever we can to protect them in the course of election duty. Another area where we have worked with the security agencies to help the youth corps members is protection to the corpus lodges. In the past, when they deployed for election duty, some hoodlums raided the corpus lodges and stole their personal effects. So where we have corpus lodges, we have worked with the security agencies to ensure that security is provided so that nothing happens to their personal belongings while they are away on national service. Yaga Samson, any report of missing sensitive materials? Yes, we have received reports here and there, but they are small and far between. In fact, we are working to immediately respond to this, including the state that you mentioned for the senatorial district. But it's only one form, the EC8D1. We have compiled those and we are going to respond. All materials will be made available to the states where these materials are needed before the election on Saturday. Thank you very much. I hope I've answered all the questions as best I can.
Thank you, Robert. We have quite a number of questions we answered. Let me start from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that'll be it. So number 1, please.
My name is Komla Kluchi. I work with TV3 in Ghana. The APC and the PDP, most especially, have launched scathing accusations at the INEC. For instance, yesterday at the PDP conference, they indicated that INEC has the intention of smuggling in some 1 million printed ballot papers. What does INEC make of all these accusations from the two leading parties?
Thank you. Number 2?
Yep.
My name is Taiwo Amodu. I report for Nigerian Tribune. Sir, may we have an update on the fate of APC in Rivers State? we learned that the party's lawyers have written INEC demanding that APC should be included on the ballot on Saturday. Thank you.
Number 3.
Yeah. My name is Jide Oyekunle, Daily Independent newspaper. Sir, I want to know, how far have you gone in making materials available to the riverine area? Particularly because we understand that some of your officers will be traveling nothing less than 5-6 hours on the water before they get to the location at the riverine area. So I want to know how far you have gone in making materials available to all these areas, considering the terrain as well as the safety of your officials. That, number 2, there are some polling units that have been moved away from their location without the knowledge of the voters. For example, in Lugbe, here in Abuja, there are some polling units that have been moved. They have been relocated from their initial location. So, and the voters, they are not aware of this. Thank you.
Number 4, please.
My name is Emeka Nze. Honorable Chairman, my question is very simple. I want to find out, sir, whether INEC is working under some kind of pressure, and by who, sir?
I think
all right. Good afternoon. My name is Femi Akonde. I'm a reporter with TVC News. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there are so many innuendos out there forming talking points among Nigerians, and one of such is that some persons, politicians and political parties have brought in sophisticated technology to infiltrate INEC's ICT department. So my question now is, how tamper-proof is your ICT department against such kind of attacks?
Number 6, please.
Hi, I'm Paul Carston with Reuters News. When does INEC expect to announce the winner of the elections? Presidential. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7.
Chairman, my name is Jonathan Ipa. I labor for Al Jazeera News here in Nigeria. We are interested in knowing, apart from the daily briefings you are doing, on the level of preparations, there is this general apathy among Nigerians, particularly those who travel and came back, those who may not afford to go back, and with the recent comment coming from the major graduates as regard to their safety. Thank you.
Okay, the last one. Wait.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Chairman, please. My name is Charles Ode. I work for Captain TV. I remember quite clearly, sometime in December 2018, the Commission signed an MOU with transportation unions to cater for the issue of logistics. So I want to know how far the Commission has gone with the arrangements with the issue of logistics with transport
unions. Thank you.
Unions, yeah. So that it doesn't become a problem, because logistics was the problem you said prevented the elections from holding. So I want to know how far.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we'll come to the end of this second round. So I'll appeal to the chairman to please answer those 8 questions. Let me appeal to my colleagues in the media to please, once you set your tripod, you set your cameras, can you please descend, because people behind cannot see and you're obstructing people's views and eye contacts. Please, appeal to you. Honorable Chairman, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for all the questions. Our brother from Ghana, TV3 Ghana, that political parties have accused the Commission equally. Let me say that for us as election managers, this is normal. We sometimes get a little concerned if it's only one party that is accusing the Commission rather than the other. But if the 2 parties accuse the Commission equally, it means that obviously that is something the Commission is doing that is right. But I'm sure you will know from your experience in Ghana and covering elections elsewhere that for some political parties, the major issue is usually the Electoral Commission. But we have said consistently that while, yes, we are happy to be criticized, but we should not be seen as another political party. We are not a political party. The Commission has no candidates in the election. We are only interested in the processes. So it's normal, I will say, for the Commission to be criticized by different political parties. The next question is APC in Rivers. I think the Supreme Court has made a number of pronouncements on that matter. And for that reason, the Commission has taken the decision going by the judgment of the Supreme Court. Under our Constitution, the Supreme Court is the last court of resort for any citizen. There must be an end to litigation, as lawyers say. And once the Supreme Court makes a pronouncement, all persons and authorities in the Federation of Nigeria are bound to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. And so the Commission, as a law-abiding institution, will always abide by the judgments of courts. So that's my answer to your question on Rivers. There is nowhere else to go. We'll go by the judgment of all courts, but when it is the apex court, that is the end of the road for all litigations. The independent newspaper, materials available, how do we make materials available to the riverine areas? It's a very good question because we have these riverine areas in a number of states. Delta, Rivers, the Ilaje part of Ondo, and Bayelsa. But maybe the best example, the best illustration of this is Bayelsa, where you have the majority of the local governments in the state actually riverine. 5 out of the 8 local governments in Bayelsa state are only accessible by sea. We understand what you are talking about. We have experience of having conducted elections in Bayelsa. I know the considerable distance, for instance, between Yenagoa, the state capital, and Oporoma, the capital of southern Ijo. You spend literally hours on the high seas. We also appreciate the challenge that security poses, particularly when you have personnel and materials on the high seas. It is for that reason that we have always made arrangements with the police and sometimes with the Navy and the Army as well to provide gunboats in addition to the boats that carry our personnel and materials to locations. So we have been conducting elections in these places. We had a discussion with all the resident electoral commissioners. We have made a specific arrangement for the riverine areas where they have to hire the boats, and the Marine Police, the Navy and the Army will also provide some protection from a distance for personnel of the Commission. So we're not taking the issue of transportation lightly, and we're not also taking the issue of security lightly. Now, I think related to that question is what arrangements are we making to ensure that we deploy to these areas in good time? Our office in Bayelsa must have finished the batching of materials. We said deployment to the local governments will be today, and I've listed 10 states that have moved materials to the local governments today. Bayelsa is not one of them, but I believe at first light tomorrow they will deploy. And the strategy always is to deploy to places where you need some extra time, like Oproma in southern Ijo, and where you can cut the distance of moving the materials by sea, like in Ekiremo, then you can go through Delta to get to Ekiremo. We'll also deploy, as we very well know, to Brass, and the same thing will apply to Ilaje in Ondo. We have made elaborate arrangement with the boat owners, and we have also made arrangement for the safety and security of the security forces that will accompany our personnel and materials to these locations. As I said, we have experience of conducting elections in these areas, and deployment shouldn't be a problem, but we have to start early. I absolutely agree. Because even if we get to Oproma in southern Ethiopia, for instance, you then have to deploy to polling units by boats. It's not that everybody lives in the capital of the local government. I hope that answers your question. Next, you said PUs were relocated without the knowledge of voters, and you specifically mentioned a polling unit in Lugbe. I would like to have further information on that particular polling unit that you said was moved in Lugbe without consultation or knowledge, consultation with or knowledge of the voters. I know that some PUs were relocated for a reason. There were states, for instance, when they were created, private properties were rented to state governments and converted into public buildings, and some of them serve as polling units. But later, when the state governments constructed their secretariats and other facilities, these properties reverted to private use, and the polling units were located in those private buildings. We have relocated them in full consultation with the stakeholders. So that one I know that we have done, but we consulted the stakeholders so they know the new location of the polling units. No polling unit is relocated without consultation with the voters, and no polling unit is relocated for no just reason. The whole idea is to move our polling units away from shrines and public buildings and palaces. Polling units should be in public buildings. Where there are no public buildings, we erect canopies and call them open space. We are committed to this process. But I will be very happy to have the details of the polling unit in Lugbe so that we can immediately investigate. Then Emeka Nze, is INEC under pressure, and by who? INEC is not under pressure. So the second part of your question becomes redundant. Thank you. Akonde, TVC News, that there are innuendos that sophisticated technology is being deployed to attack ICT facilities. Well, if that is the case, then actually it goes beyond innuendos. It's a very serious matter for us. But I want to assure you that much of our IT facilities will be offline. And it's almost impossible. It's impossible to attack something that is offline. You only attack something that is online, because it's not seen online, you can't attack. So much of it is actually offline. So, but I have taken note of what you have said. We will continue to strengthen security around our IT facilities, but at the moment, we have no reason to really panic about any possibility of attack or compromise to our ICT facilities. When you talked about innuendos, I thought you were going to say the kind of thing that a friend told me yesterday. Was it over the weekend? There was a headline in one of the newspapers saying that the INEC chairman has stepped down. But when you read the story, they said, I stepped down from my car. So, then there was a question asked about when to expect the results of the election. I said so before. Let me also repeat here that even though this time around we have more presidential candidates than 2015, we have more registered voters than we had in 2015, the size of the result sheet is bigger than we had in 2015, but we are committed to concluding the process for the presidential election roughly around the same time that we concluded the 2015 general elections. I understand that there is greater urgency, particularly following the extension, and particularly for those who are covering the elections, so that they don't extend their stay longer for the outcome of the elections. We will do whatever we can to ensure that we speedily conclude the elections, consistent with the provisions of the law. We will not sacrifice due process for speed or on the altar of speed. but we'll make sure that we balance speed and what we are supposed to do under the law. Jonathan, Al Jazeera, general apathy. We hope that with the resumption of campaigns by political parties, people will be remobilized for the election. But as we have said, painful as it is for the Commission to have postponed the election by a week, we'll still appeal to voters to please come out en masse and vote for the party of their choice. And I believe that people like you, Jonathan, in Al Jazeera, will also be helpful in further informing and mobilizing citizens to come out and vote. Then Charles from Kaftan TV, you talked about the memorandum of understanding signed between the Commission and the road transport unions. Yes, we have signed the memorandum of understanding. In fact, on our way to this meeting, I called the president of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to further review the arrangements we have made, the MOU signed and the agreements that the Commission signed at state level with the providers of transport for electoral logistics. We are confident that we have no problem in this regard at all. In fact, I have a meeting with him tomorrow in the morning, the president of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, for a further review. He just concluded a meeting with all the chairmen of the branches of the union nationwide, and I assured that we are on course. We are happy with the document we signed, and we're also happy with the arrangements that the union has entered with the Commission at state level. I hope I've responded to all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Honorable Chairman, with that, we spent 1 hour here already. I think that we are busy, you are busy. Well, pardon us if we couldn't take your question today, but we'll be here same time tomorrow. We look forward to seeing all of you there. So on behalf of the Commission, I'd like to say a big thank you for honoring our invitation to be here. Thank you so much.